Oh, so little deja vu. I've been here already. I already recorded this video, and it ended up being without sound. So I'm ending up redoing it. The good thing is that I already have the code in place, so hopefully that will help to make it faster this time. So when we're talking about paragraphs, we're talking about features. Features is a way in Drupal to export code and settings together. So that, say, when you want to install a certain paragraph type on the website, it creates the fields that you need, it creates the type that you need, and so on. So first thing that we do when we create a paragraph is that we actually go and create a new paragraph. We go to Structure, Paragraph Types, and for those viewers who don't know, this is based on Droopler, so it has some things that Droopler has prepacked already. These existing paragraphs were added by Droopler. And we create a new paragraph. We add a paragraph type, and we give it a name, say sample, and then we save and add fields. Now I won't save it because I already have this paragraph type from my deja vu. Here it is. I added that paragraph type with two fields, an image and a text. Something simple. And I give them the names with this P prefix, or should I do PD prefix? Doesn't really matter at this point, but the idea is that these fields are unique fields. When I was adding field, I was not reusing the existing fields from here. And why I was not reusing them is because paragraph should be able to be uninstalled and installed, and its fields should be able to be removed or added without conflicting with existing functionality of the website. That's why they are unique fields rather than reusing fields. So we have a caption text field and an image. And in the display, I hid their titles, their labels, and set the image style of the image to be max. So once I did that, I went and I exported it as a feature in configuration, development, features. I selected bundle paragraphs, and it showed me the existing paragraphs that Droopler has. They are features, like I said. And then I clicked create a new feature. And I provided the name, sample, and let's go to an actual feature now. Here it is. I named it DP. I named it sample, and it added DP automatically. So click on it. So I created a new feature sample. I gave it a version from here. Just copied it, pasted it here. And I chose the path for it in modules/features. So it writes over here in modules features. but when you're still creating it, it's not here yet. Okay. So I chose the path, and then I went and I clicked on the paragraph type sample, and I clicked write. When you write it, it saves it over here. And I clicked write, and it created this feature, this folder with some config files in it. Other things were not here. When you create a new feature, you don't have templates, you don't have assets, and you don't have this libraries files. You only have the info file, the features file, and the config folder originally. The rest is to be added manually. So once I click save, write, it then reloaded this page, and like I said, originally I only had the paragraph selected, but when it reloaded the page, it showed those other fields in blue, which means that it discovered that they are used in the paragraph. So I needed to click write again to make sure that now those fields are being saved also in that feature. So now that I don't see anything blue anymore, which means that everything has already been saved as it should be, I can go and edit this feature. So before this feature becomes usable, before it becomes something like this is what I wanted to do, to lay out text on the left, image on the left, and text on the right. And of course it also needs to be responsive. Boom. Before I did that, I needed to edit this feature. So what I did, first I added this module file, and it was empty and void and so on. Then I added an empty libraries file, and I added the assets folder. It doesn't have to be called assets. Like some people prefer just to have in the module folder, GS folder and CSS folder just inside it. But I prefer to have a single folder called assets, and in it JS folder, and in it the CSS folder. We're not using JS JavaScript for this simple paragraph type, so only CSS. Now, a word about libraries. In order for the CSS and JavaScript and other assets to be added to Drupal, it has been streamlined and it needs to be added as libraries. So it needs to be declared in the libraries file. So I created this libraries file, and it's style CSS component. Component means that it's in a module, not in a theme. So when it's displayed in the page, it will be displayed in the components section. It's displayed above the theme, so the theme can override it if it needs to. And here's the path to, you see that this path is relative. It starts with assets folder. If you want to have a look about the usage of libraries, you can also go into the theme template, and there is a libraries for AMS libraries that has more libraries, so you can see how it also adds JavaScript or minified JavaScript. And it can also declare dependencies. So sometimes if you add a library that depends on some other library, then you want to declare dependency like this. But it's simple. In our case, just a CSS file. Once we added this file, we need to make sure that this file, this CSS file, is loaded. But it only needs to be loaded inside, not inside, but with our paragraph. We don't want it to be loaded all the time. So we go and we, this is why we have our module file. And this file was not provided when I created a feature. I manually created this file. In it, there are two hooks. So, what is a hook? A hook is a function with a certain name. In Drupal, it's the name of the module. And then it's created in a certain name depending on the name of the hook. So in this case, it's hook preprocess hook. It's kind of strange, but what that means is that Drupal will look for the function with this name, with the module name, then underscore preprocess word, and then underscore and something which it will preprocess. And it can preprocess paragraphs, HTML, CSS, fields, pretty much anything that it renders through theming, it can preprocess. In this case, it preprocesses paragraph. So what happens is that when this paragraph is rendered, before it passes these variables to the templates, it allows you to change them. So I usually go and I add a equals 1 to debug. And I enable the debugger, and I go and I reload the page. And here I can look at what's inside the variables that it passes to the theme. And what interests us in this case is the content. This is what gets rendered. You see those fields here. And also the attached array. This is how we attach library. So we have here specified that we add to variables hashtag attached library. So here it is, variables hashtag attach library. We added this element. Here it is. So here we have the name of the module slash the name of our library. So if you go and see, here it is, name of our library. It's done like this in Drupal 8, where we have name of the module slash name of the library, so that different modules and themes can provide libraries of their own without stepping on their toes. So here we attach this CSS from this. And the only thing that I have right now in this CSS file is setting height auto to the image, so it doesn't get squished. And when we are writing CSS for a paragraph, we want to make sure that it's prefixed correctly, that this CSS will only apply to this paragraph. We should not be changing the theme outside of the paragraph with this CSS. Alright, so here the first hook is that we have attached this library, that has the CSS. The second thing that we need to do is we need to provide our template, because there's only so much that you can do with CSS. And we need to provide a template where we can actually theme the markup for our paragraph. So what I did, I went into our feature and create the folder called templates. It should be this specific name. You cannot choose another name. It should be templates. And then I went and I checked which paragraph theme was loaded at the moment. If you look at the code when the site is in debug mode, you will see those comments that show which template is loaded at the moment. So right now it's paragraph sample template. It has this cross here. But before I added the template, it was showing paragraph.html.twig. And I checked out, and I wanted to create my own template. So what I needed to do is to go and move that original template and edit it. So I checked over here in begin output section that that template was located inside the original module. Contrib, paragraphs, templates, paragraph.html.twig. So I copied it over, and I copied it over into my templates folder, and I renamed it the way Drupal suggested here. That was the first step. The second step to make Drupal discover the template was adding a hook theme, it's called. So it consists of two parts. Is the name of the module underscore theme word. And in it I just put this array, which is paragraph underscore underscore paragraph name. It has to be like this. You cannot change that. And the name of the paragraph comes from paragraphs, paragraph types, sample. So here it is. So it's paragraph. The convention is paragraph underscore underscore this paragraph name. And then you just add this base hook paragraph. So what all this does is that it will tell Drupal to look inside this templates folder. Because without this, it will not look inside this folder for this template. And this thing tells it to look inside this folder for this template. Then inside this template, I went and I edited it. If you look at the contrib at the original template, paragraphs, templates, it looks like this. So it had a block with content, and content is the variable that gets printed. So if you also look at the preprocess function, like I showed you before, then you will see that in variables, in the variables section, content. So this is what gets printed. So inside it has field p sample image, field p sample caption. So what I did is I went and I changed the template. Okay, I can continue there. And I removed the content section, and instead I printed them separately. Content dot field p sample image and content dot field p sample caption. They are separate now. And I also added the markup with Bootstrap classes that creates layout. Thus I created the layout. So when it's in the medium screen and above, it will make them 6 by 6 columns. So that's also quite simple. Now, one thing to note is that in some cases you will not see those theming suggestions. Where do they come from? This is when the site is in the debug mode. To put the site in the debug mode, you need to go into the terminal and type Drupal site mode dev. And Drupal is the name for the Drupal console library. We have it installed on our Drupal sites, and Drupal also comes with it. It allows you to create with terminal to create, like it's like Drush basically, but not Drush. It's a bit different. But you can actually go and see what it can do. It actually allows you to create forms, plugins, classes, modules easily. Like you can type Drupal create, like generate column module, and it will ask you for the name and stuff like that. But in this case, we're just setting the site mode into development mode. So what it does is that it goes and it overrides some of the settings in tweak config. It starts showing you those template suggestions. And of course, you don't want to have that on a production website. So when you put it on, before you put it on production, you need to go and do Drupal site mode prod. And then it removes those commentaries, and it also makes sure that the caching is functioning properly, because for development you disable caching because you don't want it to bypass the functions that you are editing. You want them to take effect all the time. But for the production, you have to have caching and rendering streamlined. So if you go and reload the page with the production mode, you will see that you will see now that the comments, suggestions are gone. It doesn't have them anymore. Yeah, so but we have it in a dev mode for now because we use them. So that's how you add a template. So now we have our settings that we exported, we have our module that we added, we have our libraries that we added, and we have our paragraph. So this all comes together in having the paragraph saved and themed. Yeah, so I hope this helps. Also, before you package and add this paragraph to Git, it's good to go again and reload the feature to make sure that nothing else shows up here. We must make sure that we don't add anything which does not belong to this paragraph, because it will export something which doesn't belong there, and only the things that pertain to the paragraph should be here. Another thing that you should know is that you should enable this paragraph as a module, because without enabling it, I should have said it before, but I forgot. So without enabling this module, you will not see any of that functioning, because this module is disabled. So, well, it's kind of presupposed, you know, like a module doesn't work until it's enabled. Sample. so you must go and enable it. Would also be good to provide a description here. Yeah. So yeah, I hope it helps. If you have questions, feel free to ask me. I added it to Git and I pushed it, so you should be able to check it out and enable it. And you could also probably see it, use it as a starting point to create your own paragraphs. Well, it's already saved as this paragraph feature, so you won't be able to directly reuse it, but you can create your own feature and just move some of the things like module, libraries. Of course, you'll have to rename them, templates and stuff like that, and reuse them. Well, I hope that helps. Cheers.